All right, so are you ready for another hour of miracle work? So, if you had to express your state of being as you feel right now, what would be your facial expression? Maybe you can send an emoticon, or is it bleh, or is it yeah, is it yoo-hoo, or is it who knows what? Okay, so apparently there can be changes, and that is typical. That's typical. Let's put it like that. That's typical. So it is like not completely, not completely realizing that the journey is over, right? So we still think there's something going on. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. Otherwise, you would not even be in this class. So you've heard something like that. You heard something, but at the same time, you're not sure if it's over yet or not. Recognize that? So you're still looking for things too to make the story complete while the story is already over. Ah, so that's not a very popular subject to talk about, but it is great to take a look at it. Because the liberation, the freedom that you will feel, say, finally admitting that this journey is over, is without limit. I can say, like, it's without limit. It is so amazing because it has everything to do with your true nature. All changes are gone. Like, all changes are gone. All this is gone and over, and you don't have to repeat it anymore. You don't have to sustain it anymore. You don't have to pretend it anymore. You don't have to compare it anymore. All these things that you don't have to do, recognizing that this is over. Now, I have one picture that I would love to share with you. You see, um, it's from chapter 18 from the Urtext manuscripts of Course in Miracles. It's like chapter 18 is a great chapter because it deals a lot with the illusion of the body, for instance. And this little part that I took out of it is something that I would love to start with. That has everything to do with your new realization. And what that means, you will see then in a second. And this is something to stand, but it's totally lovely. Right, glasses. You have reached the end of an ancient journey, not realizing yet that it is over. You are still worn and tired, and here it is, the desert's dust still seems to cloud your eyes and keeps you sightless. Yet he whom you welcomed has come to you and would welcome you. He has waited long to give you this. Receive it now of him, for he would have you know him. Only a little wall of dust stands between you. Blow it on it lightly and with happy laughter, and it will fall away. And walk into the garden love has prepared for both of you. Now, you can say, like, where is this about? About whom is this? Like, who am I supposed to meet? When, where, and why? So this is literally like a description of a holy instant, as it is mentioned many times in the Course in Miracles. It's like it's a holy instant. So it's the moment in which you actually give up your ideas about yourself and go beyond the appearances, you could say, like, and actually meet your brother as he truly is. Meet the Christ in your brother as he really is, and join with him. And seeing that in the real, in fact, in this holy instant, you realize the dream is over, that you came to this, and that you're at the end of it, that this is the fulfillment of it. It is, like here, blowing it lightly. So there's a little wall of dust between you that looks like that, but you're blowing it lightly and with happy laughter, and you see it fall away. And then it's like emerging or coming into the holy instant together. Feels like walking into a garden of love, and a garden that love has prepared for both of you. And this is what you recognize. This is what you know. You're familiar with this, but it's just like still you think something in form needs to occur first in order to come to this place, or it isn't completely in the way that you think it should look, and wait for that to happen in order to be able to surrender into the love for your brother. No, that's not necessary. So like this form, you can wait forever. Like I just said in the beginning too, everything is changing. It's all temporary. It's all shifting. I feel sad, I feel happy, I feel deprived, I feel abandoned, I feel whatever I feel. It's like this whole scenario, this whole idea that you use yourself is like still as part of your journey. You really think that you're still on a journey, and you don't realize that it's over. So it's like there's nothing, there's no it's like conditions for you. There's no conditions that you have to set up for yourself in order to enter into a holy instant right now. Okay, that's what this is about. So you have reached the end of an ancient journey, not realizing yet that it is over. You are still worn and tired, and the desert's dust still seems to cloud your eyes and keep you sightless. Yet him who you welcomed has come to you and would welcome you. He has come to you. He has waited long to give you this. And receive it now of him, for he would have you know him. Only a little wall of dust still stands between you. Blow on it lightly and with happy laughter, and it will fall away and walk into the garden love has prepared for both of you. I love that. See, and retraining your mind, this is still what we're talking about. So this was from chapter 18, but we're actually in chapter 3 of the book, and we do it very systematically this time, because we don't want to miss a part in where we're dealing with now, which is with the title Conflict and the Ego. So it's like there's still, you could say you still don't recognize the desert you're in as a human being, the desert you're in, as the desert that it is. You still think there's something there for you. You still think that it's worth going into it, and who knows what you're going to get out of it, this kind of thing. It's like there's an incredible hope, a lingering hope that something will be there for you. Whether that's using the body, being in the body, thinking that the body offers you something as an attribute of the ego mind, you could say. Like all that is your journey into the desert. Yeah, and you don't recognize that as the desert. You still think that it is alive and it offers you something. Now that we're going to take another look at with chapter 3. Because we were in the place of is or wish. Now that was the first conflict and ego part. Like is, if it is, it is. If you wish for it, you're actually heading into the desert. So in here in chapter 3 it says, recognize the desert for what it is. Don't try to change the desert. The desert is the desert. You don't have to invest in it to make it a better desert. No, it will still be dry, and it will be lifeless, and it will be like empty. So there's no need for you to invest in that, in other words. So now, in concreto, like how do you do this practically then? How does this look? We will read about that later on. So this part was recognize the desert for what it is and leave the desert. Leave the desert. So this is really the title of this hour. Leave the desert. Like there's an ancient journey, you went on it and it's over. You don't have to go back into the desert anymore. There's no need for you to do so. Well, that sounds still a bit abstract, even though it's a metaphor I use for the metaphor to show you that the lingering hope of any kind of value in the human thought system, any kind of value where the body takes a part in, is not what it seems, to say the least. All right, so you feel it coming up, huh? You feel it coming up. So I'm curious what will be on these sheets that I prepared today. Let's dive in. So yeah, there's always a bit of laughter coming to me, being actively looking at the insanity of the ego. So and that's for a reason. So let me see, where's my leave the desert? That's the message of today. And that feels actually really good. Okay, so as soon as we get to the idea of desert, I will let you know. Perception always, now this is what you do with your eyes, your ears, your hands, your smell. Perception always involves some misuse of will, because it involves the mind in areas of uncertainty. The mind is very active because it has willpower. When it willed the separation, it willed to perceive. You know, it's like, well, yeah, it wanted the separation, but in order to be able to see that it's separate, it needs to perceive. Before that, it wasn't necessary. So it's like, all right, yes, I love to see the separation, is what you have willed. I love to see the separation. Okay, come on in. I love to see the separation, but now I need eyes to see it too. So here's perception born. I'll make something up. Yeah, I think I see it already. It's right here. Oh yes. Before you know it, you started to see something that is actually not there. Like you created a desert, but in order to have the full experience of it, you needed senses to experience this desert. So afterwards, it had to will ambiguous. And the only way out of ambiguity is clear perception. So that's the thing that came with it too, is like it's ambiguous. It can go any kind of direction. It is variable. It has degrees. It has levels. It has everything that truth doesn't have. So now you got yourself into a labyrinth. Now you got yourself into, say, yeah, a maze. A maze. And now how can you get out of this? That is the next step then. Any attempt to endow the ego with the attributes of the soul is merely confused thinking. Oh, here's our desert. The thing to do with the desert is to leave. The mind returns itself to its proper function only when it wills to know. This places it in the soul's service, where perception is meaningless. So here's the whole story, in fact. So it's like perception makes misuse of will, and it always involves misuse of will because it originates, really, this is the word, like it originates in separation. So this is really like the fundamental idea of the ego mind, the fundamental idea of how you became separate from what everything is in your development of yourself. You willed something separate, and in order to have the full experience of that, you had to come up with an idea of perception. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to perceive it. So now you create a bubble which you're able to perceive with the all attributes that are related to this bubble and not anything else. So it has no relationship to the soul. It has no relationship to communicating with God. No, it's in isolation, in the bubble. It's your little desert, as we say it here. It's like it's your little desert. Now, whatever, and I said this in the beginning too, it's like whatever you try to optimize in this bubble, in this human frame of reference, like whatever you try to optimize, whatever you try to make perfect, whatever you try to make whole, all these activities have brought you to this place where you find yourself now. Like a long journey. It has been a long journey. Very sick and tired of all of it. Like no inspiration, no need to say add anything to it. No, I love to leave it behind. That's basically the beginning of your spiritual path. It's like, oh, I'm so sick and tired of this whole separation, following my perception, my thoughts in everything that I do. I get so sick of my own thoughts. So here is your the start of your awakening. Here's the start of your coming to know yourself. Because see, the wish to come to know yourself when you find yourself in this bubble is the thing that will get you there. Because you will not be able to get there, and this is the part that we say looked at now. It's like there's no need to change this bubble to try to optimize it and thinking that there's hope for a change that's actually giving you something. No. Recognize this desert for what it is and leave it. So this is really the perseverance and the determination that you have to deny the denial, you could say, to deny that what you have willed separate from God. So I say it may be a bit complicated, but it's actually good to dive a little bit deeper into it in order to get it, where this is about, like how deep that goes. Because the tendency, like this separate mind idea, this separate mind comes up with ideas of optimization of the bubble, of the dream, all the time. Like it has to do it, otherwise the whole thing would fall apart. So when the whole thing falls apart, and that's progress, that's great, that's lovely. And you might experience that in this moment even. It's like, oh my God, my whole world is falling apart. I have no idea what to do. Oh, my body is falling apart. Or who knows, my financial world is falling apart. My whatever world is falling apart. So now you stop, in fact, trying to optimize it, trying to make it better, trying to, say, find some hope somewhere so the dream, the bubble will be better. No, recognize this desert for what it is and leave it. So as soon as you do that, you literally open your mind. You actually use your mind in the right way, right in terms of where it's made for, and you will, say, literally enter with your brother into the garden love has prepared for you. So you enter into a holy instant, you enter into a different experience of yourself that brings you the fulfillment that you were seeking for in your humanhood, and which is never going to happen. All right, so next part. Well, so it's interesting. I love this because now everything is so, say, compact here. The thing to do with the desert is to leave, says the last 3 points. The mind returns itself to its proper function only when it wills to know. This places it in soul's service, where perception is meaningless. So you see, like, that's why the mind training is for, to the retraining of the mind. Perception is meaningless. Nothing I see means anything. I've given everything that I see all the meaning it has for me. And on and on and on. You know, all these things. My thoughts are images that I've made. So they're not real thoughts. We're actually image making. And we created all kinds of images and keep doing so, thinking that some images are better than others. Okay. The ability to perceive made the body possible. No? Because now suddenly you have senses. Well, here's the body. Now you can be a separate entity in this bubble and walk around in it. Well, that's great. It's almost like inventing artificial intelligence. Like step by step. Now I have my VR cam on my head. And now I can suddenly see this meta world. And see, we do the same thing over and over. So that's still with the new technology too coming up. It's like the ability to perceive made the body possible, because you must perceive something and with something, right? So this is the same with the meta. That's actually a nice comparison. The meta world, or the VR world, the virtual reality world, where you use your little whatever thing you put on your head, and suddenly you see a world where you can do all kinds of things in, at least spend money. So that's one thing. So that's the same what you did with the body. So it's like an echo. It's like the ability to perceive made the body possible, because you must perceive something and with something. That's all that where the thing was for, where it was invented for. This is why perception involves an exchange or a translation, which knowledge does not need. Like, why would knowledge need a perception? Because it just knows. The interpretive function of perception then permitted man to interpret the body as himself, which, although depressing, was a way out of the conflict he induced. Yeah, so that was the first thing that he saw was possible. It's like, okay, so this walking object in the dream that I just created, I call that myself. I interpret that as myself. I'm going to identify myself with that. I like your little avatar in your artificial world. So you are now allowed to make yourself an avatar. So design a funny one, or whatever, a beautiful body or a bad body or a big body or a who knows what body, in whatever color you want, in whatever form you want, in, you know, all these things. So it's like, it looks so much like what we're doing right now in the artificial intelligence, blah, blah, virtual reality. It is amazing. So the superconscious, which knows, could not be reconciled with this loss of power, because it was incapable of darkness. This is why it became almost inaccessible to the mind and entirely inaccessible to the body. In other words, so what it says here is like the superconsciousness which knows could not be reconciled with this loss of power. With this loss of power, because it was incapable of darkness. Yeah, I like this. I really love this. So it's like um, the super consciousness, like your direct communication with God, could not have anything to do with the bubble. It could not have anything to do with it because it cannot do anything with darkness except shining it away. But it cannot intrude on this darkness. It cannot. Yeah, it is literally something it doesn't recognize. So that's why the body, that's why the dream has nothing to do with that. That's why I say you recognize the desert for what it is and leave it. Leave the desert. So there's no sense in trying to make it lighter or make it whatever. No, leave it. Let it go. And then when you have willed to know, so to speak, that can return to you, but not any other way. So it's like the human consciousness cannot come to illumination. It's impossible. There's no overlap whatsoever. So don't try it then. Don't give up trying. That's really important. And what it specifically means then is recognize first that this is the desert. This is your dream, the desert. It's like the body is not capable of receiving, say, light. It is not able to think. Like your brains are not able to think. Your idea about yourself is a limited idea. It has nothing to do with your wholeness. So you're not a little bit holy in that. So don't try to carve out a little bit of reality in this dream of denial of reality. So that just saves a lot of time. So it's like the more clear you are in that for yourself, the easier it will go to let go of it. You recognize it for what it is. It's the desert. It is limitation. It is dry. It is not alive. It's dead. And I have no interest in it. I've done it. I've seen it. And I don't want it. That's pretty amazing. It's so basic. Can't believe it. So it was perceived as a threat because light does abolish darkness by establishing the clear fact that darkness isn't there. The truth will always destroy error in this sense. The truth will always destroy error in this sense by establishing it, the clear fact that it is not there. So if you call that destroying, yeah, okay, well, it's not really destroying, it isn't there. God and the souls he created remain in surety, and therefore know that no miscreation exists. See, this is where the comfort comes in. You can already feel it leaping in. Like, God and the souls he created remain in surety, and therefore know that no miscreation exists. I cannot unite your will with God's for you, is what Jesus says, but I can erase all misperceptions from your mind if you will bring it under my guidance. Okay, so see, now we're getting really practical. So there's like all my misperceptions, I have to do something with it. I don't want to change it into better misperceptions. No, I want to give that up immediately, but I need to be guided out of this. Here's your provision. I cannot unite your will with God's for you, like you have to do that yourself or recognize that yourself, but I can erase all misperceptions from your mind. And that's why we retrain our mind. If you will bring it under my guidance. Here's your Holy Spirit guidance. Like, give it to me, and I will change it into something, say, useful, constructive for yourself. Only your misperceptions stand in your own way. That's all. Only your misperceptions stand in your way. That's all. Without them, your own choice is certain. Sane perception induces sane choosing. Sane perception induces sane choosing. The atonement was an act based on true perception. I cannot choose for you. Jesus says it again. I cannot choose for you. Like, you will have to do that yourself, but I can help you make your own right choice. I cannot unite your will with God's, but I can erase all misperceptions from your mind if you will bring it under my guidance. See, this is all the same story in that sense. It's like the guidance that you receive is available to you, but you will have to ask for it. Show me what to do, show me what to say, show me where to go. How am I supposed to respond to this? I've no idea. How am I supposed to look at this? What does it mean, the love of God? What is peace of mind? I want to know. So it's like all these questions you can ask to receive the guidance that is there for you to get yourself guided out of your misperception. Well, like I said in the beginning, it's like first you will have to recognize that you're in the desert and that you still have hope that there will be a better desert. And there isn't. So you have to come first to that with yourself. Then something can happen. And then it goes really fast, in fact. Okay, so now who's going to do this is then the question. Many are called, but few are chosen, it says in the Bible, right? But Jesus says you should actually hear it like this. All are called, but few have chosen to listen. Only a few choose to listen. And of course that's you. You listen. Therefore, they do not choose right. If you're not listening, you're not choosing right. The chosen ones are merely those who choose right sooner. Like it's all a matter of time in that sense. So all are called, but few choose to listen. Few choose to listen. The chosen ones are merely those who choose to listen sooner. This is the real meaning of the celestial speed up. So you're part of it. You listen to this. You do this. You actually choose to do this. You choose to listen. You choose not to repeat an ancient journey and exhaust yourself more. No, oh yeah, here it is, like strong wills can do this now. It's like, are you strong-willed? I know you are. Just like I am. I'm strong-willed. I'm so stubborn in this, you could say. I'm so stubborn. And now, guess what? That's the best thing that you can do right now. Be strong-willed. Like, don't give up. Just choose this. You want to listen. You want to leave the desert, and you don't care how that looks and where you're going. But you know for sure you want to leave the desert. So this is really what waking up is, what awakening is. So you choose to listen. So you can do it now. You can decide, no, I'm not going into that desert any longer. I'm leaving it for what it is. Strong wills can do this now, and you will find rest for your souls. Like, this is the immediacy of salvation. You decide, you leave the desert, and you will find rest on your souls, for your souls. God knows you only in peace, and this is your reality. This is why terms like lofty are meaningless in this context. Insight is not a way to knowledge, but it is a prerequisite for knowledge. So these insights are going to be helpful. It is not a way to knowledge. It's like recognizing that the desert is a desert is an insight. So it doesn't lead to knowledge, but it is a prerequisite for knowledge. Like if you don't admit to that, then you will not be able to know. You know what I'm saying? Being of God, knowledge has nothing to do with your perceptions at all. That is why it can only be a gift of God to you. To you. Okay. So many are called, but few are chosen. It should actually read like this. All are called, but few choose to listen. Therefore, they do not choose right. So I love this idea because it is basically including everyone in. So it's good to not pound on your chest like, yes, I'm one of the chosen ones. No, everyone is chosen. It is now just up to you to listen, to choose to listen. That's the part that you can do. All are chosen. So it's like, if you still need to delay your homecoming, so to speak, if you still think there's some hope that the desert will be a better desert, or you can do some experiments in it in order to see if you can bring it to life, you do whatever you need to do. But if you recognize the desert for what it is and turn your back to it, it's like, okay, I'm out of here, then something else can open up, but only then. Because you cannot talk your way out of the desert. It's a decision to leave it for what it is and literally leave it. Okay, so I made that pretty clear. So that's lovely. So I love the idea of desert because the dryness, the hopelessness, the endlessness, and also the without any kind of perspective is not a place where you want to hang out. Now it is more like you discover what it all means. You discover that what is included into that idea. And that's why we come together, you know, it's like that changes your perception. That gives you insights that are actually helpful to come to knowledge, to come to know who you truly are and recognizing that. So that's why we do this. All right, so that was nice. I want to keep it like this. So I'm going to read one of the miracle prayers to you, just to stand still even more on the same subject. And I know there will be a perfect prayer somewhere. That is okay. So here's lesson 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. I offer only miracles today, for I would have them be returned to me. Father, a miracle reflects your gifts to me, your Son, and every one I give returns to me, reminding me that the law of love is universal. Even here it takes a form which can be recognized and seen to work. The miracles I give are given back in just the form I need to help me with the problems I perceive. Father, in heaven it is different, for there are no needs. But here on earth the miracle is closer to your gifts than any other gift which I can give. Let me give this gift alone today, which, born of true forgiveness, lights the way that I must travel to remember you. Peace to all seeking hearts today. The light has come to offer miracles to bless the tired world. It will find rest today, for we will offer what we have received. I offer only miracles today, for I would have them be returned to me. Thank you. So thank you everyone for this moment, for this say looking at conflict and the ego, and finding the place where we actually recognize, okay, this is the end of the journey. The journey is over. I recognize I don't want any of that anymore. I'm leaving the desert, and I'm say following the guidance that is given me, and I offer miracles to everyone I meet. And basically it's like I trust the alternative in every step that I take, and I trust the guidance that is given me to get me out of this idea of myself that is limitation, that is disease, disaster, and all of this. So that is so lovely with what we shared today. So thank you for yeah, checking this out with me. And your strong will is really like important in this. Now finally you can use it. Like finally you can use it. Now it's not against anyone. No, it's just for you to stick with it in order to recognize your true self. That is all. Thank you.